Hey, what's up everybody? Today's quick review will be of the Monster Arts Destoroyah, nicknamed the Prince of Evil. When I was a kid, I watched and was in love with Godzilla vs. Destoroyah for a long time, obsessing over the meanings, how it fits into the Toho Monsterverse, and of course, the toys and video games. And yes, I did break the wing. It was falling. I didn't catch it as a kid. Oops. And all I have to say about this beast is wow. I'm also going to skim over the box because as you can see, it is showing its age. And with me trying to put it back in a couple years ago, I ripped off the plastic front. On the right side of the box, we have Destoroyah. On the left side, we have him striking the pose with the beautiful suit behind it. On the bottom, typical Monster Arts and legalese. On the top we got Destoroyah, and we get the wonderful back with a whole lot of text on the side. I wish I could read it and tell you what it says, but I don't know Japanese. So yeah, I gotta say, for presence and size alone, for once, Shin Godzilla has a nice little rival. For what Shin Godzilla lacks in width and height of its basic body without the tail, Destoroyah more than makes up for that throughout the whole figure. Especially with how thick and chunky the legs are and how much they make this whole thing look like a crustacean, which I'll get into during the articulation. But then the wings, even though they are small in comparison to how they should be in real life, they give this thing the height advantage and give it the width that it needs to stand out in the collection. Heck, even looking at it from the back with the missing wing, I just see it as the wings are more spread open. And still, even though the back is not as detailed as the front, you cannot deny that that is not imposing. So with this guy, just like some other Monster Arts and like Burning Godzilla, as you can see with the wing, some of the parts on here are very loose. On this side, the wing is nice until you get to a certain height, and then on the other wing, this one is just very loose, and this is how it's been ever since I got it however many years ago. So as I say with every Monster Arts review, hopefully when you pick yours up, you get yours in better condition than mine. And just to throw it out there, I love the design of Destoroyah, because even though you get that hideous monstrosity of a front, you got these two tiny cute little devil horns. It's awesome. I kind of want to go more into detail about the painting and sculpting, but in my honest opinion, just like with the new Gigan that they're releasing, you have to have them in hands to fully understand the just sheer amount of detail that's on here. So starting off with the head articulation, I gotta say that it is much better than I could have ever thought or really wanted. Just with the head tilt alone, I mean, going side to side, he can look and not just lean to the side, which is better than almost any Monster Arts I have, other than maybe Burning Godzilla, but Burning Godzilla doesn't have a freaking neck an eighth of its body. Looking up and down, it does well. Very, very well. So going up, he can pretty much look almost all the way up, and then going down, he can only look straight. So I know you've seen Jaws a little messed up and hideous, but that's because it's two jaws in one. Be careful if it is sharp, so try not to scratch or cut yourself with that. The bottom jaw is on a ball joint, so you can move it back and forth a little bit. The teeth on the side or the claws are posable, but some of them are more posable than the others, so I recommend just to leave them alone, not touch them. The chest is probably the most contending point because something has to hold this giant hunk of plastic together, and I'm happy that they made this joint. Side to side, it gets pretty much none, but it does have a itty little bit of rotation. Now the shoulders are probably one of the best indicators of how good they modeled this thing. So starting out at the joint, it can kinda not really hold its weight, but they still gave the posability. Then it is also on a kind of butterfly, or maybe just a dumbbell joint, but it does go back and forward a little bit. Going up, it can go up pretty high, and it can hold its own weight. Going down, it can just level out, and then there is another ball joint in here that lets it move back and forth a little bit more, and it can rotate. each of these wings are individually articulated. This one can pop out more, and all of these don't really, let's say, have as much articulation. This one, but they more fall into each other. They're really supposed to just cover up the angles if you twist and position the wings right. And we do have little wings on the back. They have surprisingly a lot of articulation. Mine are loose. I think that's just because of how they're positioned in the box. As you can see with that one, this one's deformed. So however you leave it in the box or however you get it out of the box will determine the articulation, which sucks. For the arm articulation, I gotta say this is another high point. We get amazing posability and pivoting just almost to any direction that you want there. The elbow is also very nice. We do get a double joint or a single joint, but it covers up for both, and then there's a little one in there that you can play around with. A very smooth pivot or ball joint, and then amazing wrist that can go far. Then we also get articulated fingers, which, do they move that much? No, but they can open and close just a smidge to almost get a claw. So the legs are big and juicy, but they have a lot of articulation. So going out, they don't have that much. They really do not. They can just pretty much stand up and spread them just a little bit. But do know that there's a joint in the waist and one in the thigh. So when you pivot it out and in, you're using both joints, which is very nice and gorgeous in my opinion. Then with the knee, it's just a little one. Like real, not even really anything to talk about. And then the ankles are probably the most surprising part of this thing because dang dude, for such a big figure, the feet can move and then it travels all the way to the shin, to the knee. So this thing is just amazing. If the leg articulation was better, it can go out more. You can try some amazing poses with this. But then again, it sure is also a monster that you're supposed to pose in the air. The tail is probably the least SH Monster Arts part of this figure because it's in chunks. As you go to the tip of the tail, they eventually begin to be individually segmented. But the whole point of the tail is to be weight bearing, because without the tail, this guy cannot stand. But something cool that they added is the, let's say, pincers. They are a little bit articulated, just a little bit. My whole thing about Destoroyah is that I don't like to put it in front of my collection. I like to put it almost behind or the wings behind them, just so you can see and remember how big this thing is. I mean, even here, Godzilla just kind of, you know, becomes unimportant. I had to think of this guy the same way that I thought of Burning Godzilla. After all the years I've had him, is he still worth the buy? Yes, and you can even see in some parts, especially let's say the feet, there is some damage, especially right here. That's just scraping me, putting him in and taking him out of the box. But yeah, he's still standing here, understandably a little bit weaker than when I first got him, but he is still a menace to play with and to have. Just for that, I'm gonna give this guy 5 out of 5. I mean, what else can I say about him? Do I wish he had a little more articulation? Nah, I would lose the articulation, keep what he has here just for strengthening the joints here, or pretty much strengthening the wings. That's really all I could ever ask for. And in closing, I gotta say, the other thing this movie and looking at these two figures in hand shows me is that it really does not matter how big the enemy is in front of you. It matters how big the fight in you is. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a nice day, nice week, nice whatever. Next up, I'll be reviewing more Gundams. So God bless, and I'll see you next time. Peace.